I think we're working on it. So we will keep moving, because I will take attendance, and hopefully by then he'll be online. Okay, John Campbell.
Here.
Aaron is here, Sister Pat's here, Sam's here, Matt's here, I'm here. Is Bob here yet? Is Bob online yet?
I don't know, Bob. Bob, are you online?
Call to the heavens.
Okay, well,
Nobody's online yet?
you want to resend him the link just for the heck of it?
Nobody is currently online.
Okay,
Well, maybe he'll come online. He's said he's not too.
all right. So, can I have a motion? Oh, do anybody have any questions on the August minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Second?
Sure, I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed? Okay, that's, so is there any public comment? Okay, I want to acknowledge that we have a guest. Sir, what's your name again? Miles Roberts. Miles Roberts, he is the new, are you in AmeriCorps? Yes, ma'am. He's in AmeriCorps with Bike Erie, so we welcome him to our meeting. And since we don't have any local football or baseball teams, he's welcome here from Philadelphia. Okay, old business. LCAP priorities meetings with various government groups. So I have had my meeting with the city council. I found out that EMTA for some reason doesn't meet in September, so I'll meet with them in October. Anybody else?
I want to make note that in the minutes it said I would meet in September, and it's still September, but I haven't met, but it's still September.
And you're meeting with?
Sewer Authority.
Okay.
I've got some good leads.
I spoke with I presented to the Planning Commission at the regular meeting on the regular September meeting. It went well.
It went really well. I watched. It was
Thank you.
very good. Anybody else?
I haven't met with any in line, but I will. And you're talking about the EAC presentation, right?
Right. Yeah, you've got a good excuse.
I met with the redevelopment authority of the city of Erie Race.
And the city of Erie.
The redevelopment
Of the
authority
city.
of the city of
Erie,
Erie, which
right.
is RACE for short.
Thank you.
And Freda, Mike sent a really very good email. I'm sorry I'm speaking for you, Mike, but the reason is because I wanted to ask if you, he sent a very good email to Public Works, to Jason and Leanne, and I don't know if I sent this email last night or not, because I was working through my emails, but I was going to ask if you'd like me to help facilitate to schedule a discussion with them, because oftentimes they're swamped with emails.
I would appreciate it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to do that.
Good.
I didn't send that last night, right?
No,
In my mind, I was thinking it, but I didn't send it.
So you would be meeting with whom?
Public Works.
Just the department?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they got many different
Yeah.
arms. Right. Okay, and Bob's not online yet, right?
No, he's trying.
Okay.
He's trying.
Well, okay. So we sort of have this on here twice by old business and new business. But we have secondary priority single-use plastic and litter mitigation. So, or do we? Thought, yeah, we kind of have, under new business, we have some items related to the single-use plastics. All right, I can comment as far as single-use plastics. Aaron and I met to talk about the water bottle filling station concept, and then I'll go talk about it again under new business where you put me on the agenda there. So, Right. I mean, I'll talk about it under new business. Are there anything else about single-use plastics and litter mitigation related to old business? Okay, local climate action program with Penn State.
Sure. So we've met about 3 times now. Is that right? We've
Yeah.
met 3 times with the students. Very, very nice bunch of nice students, very engaged, very interested in the project. I feel that way. I'm happy to have these 2 on board. They've been very communicative to me, back and forth, and yet last week they asked us some questions around what are our priorities in terms of what do we plan, and how did they phrase it? You know, once we have the inventory, what are then our priorities? And you know, we thought we would talk about this at today's meeting. Some of it, I sent those 2 examples of the greenhouse gas inventory studies that were done in by other PSU students. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. I sent it pretty late last night, and I know they only gave it to me on Monday. So what we had said is that we would talk to the EAC around, and maybe I'm missing something, Mike, about in terms of the priorities.
Yeah, I think they seem to value any input we can provide them as they put together the inventory, because I'm guessing they might have leeway to include more or less detail on some aspects of the data according to what we indicate we're interested in.
Right, and maybe you could give the one example that you mentioned to them, and that would help to
Yeah,
explain to the
like,
group.
for
a little bit.
instance, if you look at the examples of the reports that they'll produce, they do have a section in there on transportation, and transportation emissions are broken down according to personal vehicles, commercial truck traffic, rail, and so on. And I said, that's good, because some of our questions and concerns are about possible new industries that might bring more trucking traffic, So if you look at the kind of detail that's in the reports that are the models that were attached to Jackie's message, and you see that, wow, I wish we had more of that, I think we could, at this stage of the game, give them questions and interests that we might have thinking towards our climate action plan of what we'd like to know more detail about.
And you also asked them some questions around the water authority.
Yeah, for
That was
instance,
very helpful
yeah.
for me to understand.
Since I'm liaison to the water authority, I said, boy, if we could know how much of our community's electricity emissions is associated with pumping water, by the water authority, then we could use that information to suggest a plan to try to get people to conserve water, because if you use less water, you don't have to pump as much water, which means less energy used to pump it.
And you asked that question last night, and Peter reached out to me today and asked me if the water authority is a separate entity of the city. So they must already be kind of thinking, like, they're on it. They
Good.
want to know what we want them to look at. So, yes, Dan.
I had some questions. Oh, were you done?
Yeah, the other comment I would make is it looks like their methodology is a pretty standard methodology, that the same one that the Penn State students have used for a lot of other communities in Pennsylvania. So I'm feeling pretty good that we're going to get a good quality product that we'll be able to use in our community for grant proposals or whatever, yeah.
So I had a couple questions, and I just frankly just skimmed executive summaries and looked at charts and things because I didn't have, anyway. So I'm curious if traffic mitigation, I mean, there's 2 things. There's the greenhouse gas inventory and there's the climate action plan. So in terms of a climate action plan, we don't have traffic mitigation ordinance. Can those be used to address transportation impacts? That's one question. So if we're talking about rail, so we do have a significant amount of, in my opinion, because I live near the tracks, a lot of rail coming through town. Are they measuring the rail as it goes through Erie, or?
I don't think they have that kind of granular data. I mean,
Okay.
they have data about how much rail traffic goes through, enough to be able to calculate.
So there's some kind of contribution?
Right, yeah.
Okay. And I didn't see transit on there, and so I didn't see transit on there. I saw transportation, but I didn't see.
I think public transit,
Yeah,
they do
it's-
have that broken down. yeah.
Okay, the ones I looked at, maybe I didn't see it.
Right.
And so EMTA is using more natural gas, and I don't know how much of a trade-off that is or not. That was the other question. And the third question was, in the Pittsburgh one, the transportation component of their greenhouse gas inventory was not as big as it was in some of the other ones, and I was curious about that. So those are my questions.
All right. Yeah, I think it'll be broken down enough for us to see where the biggest pieces of the pie are, for instance, for transportation. And I'm just guessing that, like a lot of medium-sized urban areas, probably the biggest chunk of the transportation emissions is going to be our, automobiles, our vehicles, not.
Right, that's why transit.
Yeah.
So I guess one third thing would be, I don't know how, in the climate action plan, I would like to see it be stuff that is actually addressing things that are possible for Erie and that point us in the direction of how to get to that possible, funding or changes in regulations or more money for transit or whatever. But that's my hope, that the climate action plan not just be checking off boxes, but that it actually identifies things that are significant to us in this community and that are doable and how to get there.
I believe that if we do provide them good input on the inventory and the draft of their climate action plan, that we'll be able to kind of develop those elements in the plan. I think we'll have input on that.
So there'd be a section that deals with implementation.
I would, if we ask them to include an implementation section and help them,
Well, that's what the action plan is.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
I would think.
And you did send a couple of examples of the action plans earlier, I think.
Sam is waiting to us.
I was responding to that. Go ahead, Sam.
Turn your mic off.
So I have EMTA data from a greenhouse gas emissions that my students conducted for them. So if you need that, let me know. You were asking about basically what kind of details maybe we would like to see in the inventory, because once you get the greenhouse gas inventory, the point is then from that inventory to decide on what are your actions for the local climate action plan. So the points that you were making, Freda, are the next step in the process, which usually happens in the spring semester of the class after they have the greenhouse gas inventory that they do in the fall. If you're asking for advice on something you would like to see, kind of building off of what you suggested with regard to water pumping, I'm curious, considering that our secondary priority is single-use plastics, if we could get some detail on the amount of energy, basically greenhouse gas emissions that are associated with the pretty significant plastics industry that we have here in the city of Erie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's it.
I guess we're just limited to the city because a lot of them are outside the city limits.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have to decide everything today. If you look through these documents that were sent out, and you have other priority areas, I would just ask that you email that to us. We'll be meeting with them. We meet with them weekly right now, so we'll be meeting with them tomorrow. But as they're doing their inventory, we can definitely suggest other granular items that maybe are not necessarily even in these two plans.
Right.
So it seems like they're very responsive from what Mike had asked, and they're on that, so.
Yeah, and if you have data that they don't
Yes,
know
that
about,
was-
that'd be important to be able to send to them.
Yes,
On, like, you mentioned the EMTA data, so they might not have access to that, so.
right. So if you could send that, Sam, to us, then we'll send it to the students. Either, yeah, I can send it. You could, or copy Mike. So that's where we're at. We're meeting weekly with them, and each week they kind of build upon their program. So they have a module that they learn, and then they do the next step. So I think they were in the process of learning this system that they use to do the inventory, and I think that was what this week was about, was learning that next module for the software. So we'll find out where they're at, and we'll report on some of the things that you spoke about today.
And I would think that if any other member of the council wants to join in
Yeah.
on those weekly meetings, they
Can you
would
just
welcome that.
keep us posted when they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're every Friday at 11, and you're certainly able to join in.
Are they here or?
No, they're on Zoom. I think that if you would just like to actively listen, that's fine, or you have something to contribute, yeah, no worries.
I just kind of, since the reason I mentioned the stuff about the climate action plan is you did share those with us, and I don't think it hurts to say these are the kind of things we want to be doing as we move forward. The kind
Yeah,
of
and
new products.
I think they're not quite there yet, Freda,
Right.
so having those discussions right now are not exact, they're not there yet
Right.
into that part of the program. But I think we should start making a list of things that we would like the local climate action plan to focus on. That might be a good idea, to keep a running list.
So we can keep doing that on a regular, yeah. Okay, that takes us to new business. You're on, Pat.
Okay, I made copies. I'm going to just pass these around.
So just want to, is Bob on yet? or-
He's trying, he emailed that he's been trying to get on for 15 minutes, so I don't know what the issue is.
I'm on. I finally got in.
Oh, voice from above.
Hey, Bob.
I'm sorry, Bob, I don't have,
Oh, there he is.
I don't have a copy for you, but this is taken from the bylaws.
I'm trying
On,
to pop it up here.
It's Article 5, associate non-members. And the purpose today is discuss the process
That's okay, I'm gonna bring it up here,
regarding
yeah.
the choosing of the associate non-voting members. So I thought we could all review, because at the point I was looking at this, I thought, what in the heck did we finally decide in terms of members? So you see, we can select up to 7 associate members.
It's also-
2 from the City of Erie high schools, 2 college students from a local college or university, 3 environmental experts who may or may not be a City of Erie resident, and in terms of the process that we set up in the bylaws, it says associate members may be recommended by EAC members or apply directly to the EAC via the website or in person during the public comment part of the EAC meeting. And then the third point there noted that applicants will submit a letter, so besides these other messages, they need to submit a letter to EAC describing their background, reasons for becoming a member, and their agreement to at least a one-year commitment. And the government liaisons are a member of City Council, a member of the City of Planning Commission, the Sustainability Coordinator for the city and for the county. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I would think what we need to do is do some kind of,
Sort of a process.
publication, like through the website, directly talking one-on-one with people, and inviting them to submit, I think probably especially for high school students, or talking to someone at a high school that we know that works with students that are, involved in, maybe environmental issues at their school. So what are folks thinking?
I know Gannon has an environmental something or other club. I don't know if Mercyhurst does.
Yeah, Mercyhurst does, and in fact, they have a number. And we had a rally today at the Marcellus Shale conference that's in town, and the local climate lobby, is that what that's called, Michael? I think they just started a new chapter of that, and the president of that group was there, and Molly Tarvin also works with a number of students in the sustainability department there.
I don't know if the community college has anything.
Pardon me?
I don't know if the community college has anything, and I don't think, given that we're expecting somebody to come to a monthly meeting, if it's productive to solicit anybody from Edinburgh, because Edinburgh.
Well, I think in terms of the colleges and universities, I think we're still looking at the city of Erie.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of times things get announced at the news conference, and it shows up on the Facebook page as well as the web. I don't know if you want to have it at the news conference?
Perhaps it could be at a mayor's.
That's right.
Well, I think what we might want to do is start with doing an announcement like on our social media page, because that's where people are going to more than I mean, everything gets posted, the press conference and all that. But I would say that I'd be happy to reach out if you gave me some names of people like at the high school or at the college level that I could try to see if they would be interested in having a representative on the EAC. I'd be happy to do that.
Presidents or faculty advisors?
I don't know if presidents,
No, I mean
but
to reach out
maybe
to-
professors or that run a sustainability class. At the high school, I'm not in tune to that as much, but
Yeah, some of the high schools have green teams or.
green teams, yeah.
I meant president of the environmental club.
Yeah.
It's not my responsibility.
I feel like that shouldn't be your responsibility. I'm sorry. I know that you do a lot, and I just feel like you don't need to take that on.
I think posting it
Okay.
on the social media page would be good. But I
So-
think members here would need
okay.
to contact people.
I keep hearing that Facebook is not attracting young people,
You keep hearing what?
that Facebook
Well,
is
we
not.
have Facebook, Instagram, we have several social media outlets.
Okay.
It's not just Facebook. So, but I guess my point is that I think we need to really go and speak to some people and use your connections, especially with the three experts. I mean, I know that we've worked with the P4P project. We had a really strong advisory group on there, and I only have met a handful of these experts, but I think I would imagine that some of you know who's out there, and we don't have to have them fill out any type of application. They can be asked to join, right?
Well, but they do need then to send a letter, so that we have a letter on file
Okay,
talking about their background,
And their
their
interest.
reasons. And I think we need to remember the 1-year commitment. I mean, when we're
Yes.
talking to people, I think it's with the understanding that they will promise to be involved for at least 1 year. Because otherwise, there's no continuity.
right. And with high school students, it's a little bit.
So it'll depend on their schedule. I mean,
Yeah.
they can make that commitment,
Right.
you know, if it's something that they're really interested in.
So it's almost the end of September. What do we want, how do you want to do time frame on this?
You know, I think, and this doesn't have to be something that happens all at once. I think it can kind of be on a rolling basis. So I would say, you know, if each of us, you know, contact people and you know, Jackie, definitely, if you have that key group, if you want to send something out. I'm wondering if, like, to kind of make it a little official, if something said at the mayor's press conference, that this is the next step.
Sure.
So we have
We
two
can
people,
definitely
we
do
have
that.
one person involved, at least you're still connected to Mercyhurst, right?
Sort of.
Sort of. No, I
Sort of.
don't have any special title.
But you know what clubs.
Yeah, still.
And then we have two people who interact with Gannon.
I don't really.
No, one. But maybe you guys could help identify the clubs or whatever?
I personally think that, I mean, this was something that certain people in the committee felt was important to include in our bylaws. It was passed, that's fine, but I think it should really be up to the people who feel like this is important, that they're doing the legwork.
Okay.
I don't think we should, you know, I don't think that this is a requirement that every person has to engage in if they don't really see the necessity of that.
Okay.
I'm sure with our conversations, we can get 7 candidates together.
Right, and it doesn't have to happen all at once. Like-
No, I mean, you know, maybe we may have somebody in a couple of months, we may not have somebody else,
Right.
you know, for 4 or 5 months.
This is on the agenda because I was reviewing the bylaws prior to my talking to the city council, and it just popped up to me that it says "we shall," not that we may or we might, and I know what the word "shall" means in regulatory universes, so I thought, we shall do it then.
Can I ask, Erin, do you have, because you work with students, you were working with students, is there a connection?
To Erie High?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you know, that you may be able to tap into, and then with the 3 environmental experts, I mean, do you all have suggestions now? Not necessarily people, but groups, and then we can kind of whittle it down. I mean, I know there's Crane, there's Penn Future, right? Those are still existing.
Right.
Which one is not? But one of them, I know.
Grain,
Yeah.
grain exists, but Penn Future's more advocacy and governmental related, or,
Yeah.
Well,
But Jenny
PLUA, the
Tompkins-
Pennsylvania Watershed Association, you know,
Okay.
so that's one group they'll be meeting in a couple of weeks, meet the first Tuesday of the month, I think. And so that can be on their agenda. You know, we have
Maybe-
people in the Sierra Club, it can be on their agenda.
So I would like, in terms of looking for high school students, maybe.
I'm sorry, Freddie, just before we move back to that, so in terms of coming up, we actually have a list of all of the stakeholders from the P4P process that I could send out to the EAC, so you can look at that list of, you know, those organizations that have been involved in environmental issues or that are involved in environmental issues, and then maybe we can send emails out to these different groups asking for, I don't know if that's too many though, because only 3 are allowed. We could ask for
you see
who's
who you get,
interested.
and then you choose people. And with the youth, there's Groundworks also, and Erin Curie now, I think, she's the
Yes.
new director of that.
Yes.
And so, you know, I can talk with her, and Doreen Petrie works with, she's on, I think, the board of that group. I don't know, Erin, if
Yeah.
you're still affiliated with them. But that's another source for students. You know, the thing that I'm most concerned about is just that it's out there. So
Okay.
people just don't think individuals
That they
were
know.
asked, but so that there's a general way for people that we may not have a contact with
I was
to,
think-
you know, ask if
So
they can be a
maybe,
member.
maybe over the next, before the next meeting, we can I can work with you to come up with a email that we, or if you wanted to do it, I'm happy to work with you too, to send out asking who's interested in joining, you know, here we are, we're the EAC, and who might be interested in joining as well, in this case, as an environmental expert for a 1-year commitment, explaining all the.
If I'm reading it correctly, you're trying to get 7 people.
Right.
So up to 3 environmental experts who don't have to be city residents, and up to 2 high school students, up to 2 college, university students. But if some of the people, the stakeholders, the people who are interested, if they were city residents, they could apply as a city resident, associate member, not as an environmental expert. Because it's up to, so that means other people are allowed to apply, right? The exception is environmental experts don't have to be a city resident.
That's right.
The other interested members would just be city residents.
Yeah, it's only the environmental experts that do not have to be
Yeah.
city
Yeah,
residents.
so you can still send it to all the stakeholders, because some could be experts and some could apply as city residents if they happen to live in the city if they're interested. And even if more than 3 apply, the committee can still vote on which ones they want to accept as an
I'm-
associate member.
I'm not seeing city residents who aren't students, who aren't some kind of environmental expert.
Yeah.
Is number 3 interested applicants? Any applicant? Because associate members up to 2, so what if you only get 1 high school student, you get 1 college student, and you get 2 experts, that's only 4 people.
So that's not a problem.
That's not a problem.
Okay, but anybody else can't, it doesn't, number 3.
No, those were the
is
categories that were
anybody
defined
else?
in the bylaws.
There's no category that says city resident that isn't an environmental expert.
I thought it was number 3.
Nope,
No, just 1 and 2.
Interested applicants.
right.
Those would be 1 and 2.
Interested applicants within categories 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I see.
So what I wanted to mention is, as far as students, and maybe others, is reaching out to the neighborhood centers. The MLK, the 4 of them, because there may be, you know, I would talk to, say, Veronica for the urban area development. There may be,
Yes, Gary Horton has some students that are very active.
yeah. But my experience is with, at least with urban area, that it's a direct contact, and email's not going to get to them. But, Miles, did you have any, is this triggering any thoughts from you, or do you have any interest in this, or?
Yes, I do have interest. It's just that I cannot commit to 1 year either because I'm only here for a year.
So you're here for how long?
I'm here for 11 months still.
Well, it's probably as close as any college student's going to be. So you're welcome to apply, I guess.
Okay, so are people comfortable with, from this time forward, you may ask somebody if they're interested, and if they are, have them submit a letter. In the meantime, we can also get information out. Are you willing to post something on social media?
Yes, I'll do that.
And can we do maybe something on the,
Could I just suggest that, would you mind, before everybody starts sending communication out, could we come up with a template, and again, I can work with you, sister, to come up with a template and then send that out to the rest of the EAC members so that we're all messaging the same thing, and that all of the letters of interest come back to, I can be the point of contact
Okay.
with that, and then share that among the board. So could we wait on doing anything
Rest of
on
us.
our own until we come up with that?
That's fine.
Okay, and I'm happy, I could work with you next week
Okay.
to draft something, and then everybody else can use the same draft.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think basically what we have is here, but to just hone it down.
Yes,
Okay.
and make it a bit more, that they understand, you know, what it is that their role is, because it doesn't quite explain that in here.
Right.
And that may be that we need to understand what their role is too.
Okay.
But, you know, I
Okay.
think the role of these of associate non-members is that, are they bringing the perspective to the board, a different perspective to the board, or are we asking them for a certain action, or are they just participating in the decision-making of the board?
They're participating in whatever discussions we're having.
Okay.
That they would be welcome to make, suggestions to the climate action plan or for
Okay.
whatever we're working on.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to vote, would be the distinction between the members and associate members.
And
We
we
don't
can,
vote
we
there.
can
And
craft
hold
that
office.
email or letter to explain some of that. Okay, sounds good.
And 90% of what we do is not voting anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, so is that it for this item?
Sarah?
Okay,
Under this article, you go down to number 4 is government liaisons. Has the county sustainability coordinator been invited? I have her contact, a new person, Jackie. It's
Audrey.
Audrey.
Audrey,
And
no.
then I didn't know if anybody from here,
so,
you invited the city council members and the planning commission, I assume already.
right,
Jasmine is supposed to be our
Yeah.
liaison.
I didn't know if you had Audrey's information, because she's
Right.
relatively new.
so the government liaisons is, my understanding, separate from members
Yeah.
of they're not associate members, they're just liaisons.
Correct. But
I
just
probably
didn't
shouldn't have
know
put
if
that
you
on.
invited the county sustainability coordinator yet, because she's new.
Right.
So I'll give Jackie
Yeah,
her
that'd be,
contact.
sure, thank
The only
you.
one of the government liaisons that have really come to the meetings are you and Jasmine.
Okay.
Okay, take it away, Mike.
Yes, one of the emails that was circulated to everyone included a forwarded message from Jenny that included the description of this grant program that we have copies of here, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Grant-Making Program. And this just looked like maybe a wonderful opportunity that I was hoping we could at least look at, to think about what might we want to do. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of money available, and that Erie definitely is in the queue for possibly receiving funds, and these are something that I think we don't need to wait until we have our climate action plan to start thinking about how we might interact with some of the city departments or other organizations that we're communicating with, to say, hey, are you looking at this? You know, I think, for instance, one of the grants that I looked at had like millions of dollars available for Erie, as in quotes, which could be county or the city. And I don't know if anybody's putting together proposals to get these funds.
So one is due November 30th for the 2-year grants, and then April 30th for 1-year grants. So,
Well, it's rolling. It looked like every couple months you could apply until the money's gone.
but the 2 years, it says till whatever. So, yeah, there was one email, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, the bottom of
So
page
does
2.
anybody have any thoughts about this?
Well, there's a lot going on right now. I mean, Sam's doing something, and Groundwork Erie and Erie Waterworks are doing something, which I'm going to address here. This is different from the two Sam and I are pursuing, and there's differences between what Sam's doing and what I'm doing. But Yeah, I mean, maybe we could get word into groups and folks that we think could collaborate on something like this. I don't know, in addition to the universities, you know, there is, you know, now groundwork and city, you know, and if it's specific for the region, you know, it's a no-brainer. Region 3, I don't know how big Region 3 is.
Region 3 is like, includes Philadelphia, the whole state of Pennsylvania, and other states nearby. So it's a
Okay.
big region.
It's a big region, yeah.
Did you go back up, Jackie, what it funds?
That's on
It's on
page,
page one.
Well, I was looking at the program overview page, item 3. What grants may address.
Yeah, that's actually, those are the types of grants you can apply for?
But not limited to, including but not limited to the following.
Yeah, the big thing it seemed all the way through were partnerships. They want you working with lots of partners.
So, food access, small cleanup projects.
Those variety categories.
I mean, did Jen Tompkins send this to all of us, or just to you, Mike, or?
I think she forwarded the message in which she had received the link to Jackie, and then Jackie shared it with all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has like a network of people that she sends things, I think, to regularly.
Yeah.
Well, this points out that we as a group aren't at this time set up to respond to these kind of things. Is there something we want to do so that we can be more nimble about stuff like that? Maybe as we have associate members, it'll become easier. That's one thing they can help with, maybe.
Well, I think one thing you can do as a committee is if you become aware of a grant opportunity is to forward it to, you know, the city people, the public works directors, to make sure Jackie sees it, Renee and our grant writer, Aaron Wonky, so everybody's aware of it who might be interested in projects. And just say, here's grant opportunity, in case you weren't aware, we want to make sure you're aware of it.
So say
And if
I-
it's something that we want to do, then somebody here would have to be in contact with that person and be willing to work with them and have the time to do that.
That's what, I just wondered, if I send something to Public Works or Jackie or any of you really busy people, what's going to happen to it?
I respond.
Well,
Oh.
if they're interested in it, hopefully they'll
Right.
pursue it.
If you got something.
They'll go on to the next
Right,
project.
that's right. Right. So what I'm saying is nimble means that we see something like that, and it's like, oh, yeah, we got this thing we want to do. And
Okay, then that means, you know, you got to find somebody that is interested enough to do it, and you have to have time to work with them to do it.
Right.
I
That's the
wonder
key.
if,
But it's one of the things that we could be doing when we're still getting rolling here.
are there lists of nonprofits that have grant writers? I mean, it's hard to be a leader in a nonprofit and write the grants, but there may be grant I mean, the city has one, I know each university has a staff or at least one person that oversees. I mean, if we got a list of those folks, and then even if they were not necessarily environmentally focused, but were interested in that collaborative process, that would be good.
And then there's people out there who are willing to help write a grant, hoping that they can help be paid to help administer it.
I'd just like to note that universities have grant offices, but they don't write grants. So if you sent this to a university office, all they'll do is distribute it. It's people, you know, faculty that.
Oh, no, I mean just support. I just meant support.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
mean like a grant writer like the city has a grant writer.
I just wanted to be clear on that.
Well,
MCIC
technical
does
support.
also have a grant writer.
Yeah.
Okay, being aware of time, how much more do we want to do with this right now? Have we covered this pretty much? Or?
I think what the take-home message for me that I'll put in the minutes is that we should probably identify a process of how we handle these things, so that whenever we get another link to what looks like an exciting grant opportunity, that maybe we assign some specific member of the EAC, okay, why don't you take a look at this one and see if it fits into what our mission is, and who would be our partnering organization to also communicate with.
Also, I know from when I worked for the Forest Service, to have a wish list of things that you would do if you could only get money for them, and that necessarily they are or aren't fleshed out, but when somebody says, if I gave you $50,000, what would you do? We would have something that we want to do.
We have our priority list
Right.
that we put
Right.
together.
Right. So,
So-
I mean, that's sort of maybe somewhere we could go, is start developing that list of things that when things come down the pike, those are the things we want to think about. Anything else on this topic? Okay, moving right along, we have Groundwork Erie and Erie Waterworks, Aaron Kerr.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So this is kind of related in haphazard fashion to two of our new business things, which was the bylaws discussion and the grant program. So I started working on this with Erie Waterworks in April. And so we've come to this point, and I want to make EAC aware of this process. We have another meeting Friday, but there are 4 aspects of this grant, and it's all about training and education around monitoring pollution in the neighborhoods and in the watershed. So the first project would be developing training for residents to develop some modicum of expertise around monitoring pollution. The second one would be advocacy and civic engagement around going to meetings, going to Erie City Council, going to County Council to discuss zoning and reform processes. The third one would be workforce development around stormwater and brownfield remediation. And the fourth one would be participatory budgeting and financial literacy around priorities that residents see that are needed in the neighborhoods, and putting money towards environmental remediation and eco-literacy and so forth. So part of this involves EAC in the sense that the asterisk there, an outcome will be that trainees attend EAC meetings as kind of guests, and then an outcome will be for the civic engagement one, that trainees attend both EAC and city council meetings. So we're at the point where this is like the bullet points of a 15-page document that we're still working on. We have a meeting Friday, and Erie Waterworks has been very supportive and interested in being the lead applicant, and Groundwork Erie now has a new executive director who can take this on as well. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of this.
So applicant for what?
EPA Community Change Grant.
Okay.
This is a Track 2 grant, which is about training and education. It's not the Track 1, which is about infrastructure and technical transformation of the watershed, among other things.
And we also have an urban forest committee that they could attend those meetings because they do a lot of, trees, clearly, clean air, stormwater management, and all sorts of climate.
Okay.
And they meet the first Tuesday of the month at 5:30 at the
Right. And who's the chair of that?
John Mako currently.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah's the staff lead.
The watershed group, it's not a city, committee, but it's, I don't know if you'd be interested in that, but the urban forest committee is a city's committee.
But Plua would be somebody else, but,
They meet from 4 to 5 at the Leaf building on the first Tuesday. So it's also later in the day,
helpful.
and they'd be welcome, anybody's welcome to do it as well.
Is there going to be an ongoing group with the Safe Streets for All? That,
Is there's,
will there be an ongoing group that meets during the?
there is an ongoing group that
Is that
meets.
something that these people might want to participate in?
Well, no, that project will be complete in April,
Okay.
and then we're going out for implementation money, so, but, yeah.
We're working on the final draft, and if you see anything here in miniature that you want to ask me about, or I could get input from you on any of this, I'd be glad to hear it, and so.
Okay. So the
I have
next.
one question.
You've got a
question.
Sorry.
First, I'll just note that the Minority Community Investment Coalition, the third member is not the Quality of Life Center, it's the Urban Erie Community Development Center. And also, I just wanted to make you aware that you could apply for Tier 2, it looks like, in this grant. So you could, it's always good, once you've done all the work and the writing, to
Yeah.
be looking for other opportunities, so.
That's very helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Did you have something, John?
Yeah, just the nature of the pollution sources, it's not just water pollution, but also air pollution, soil, it's not just stormwater that would be the entities of focus, correct?
Right, and we're looking at data that's been generated by the EPA itself and self-generated data from corporations and industry that they have to report on, and learning to monitor that, and then that involves air and soil as well.
Okay.
And maybe doing some soil and air testing with the grant, with the trainees.
Okay, so that they get hands-on experience as
Yeah.
part of their training.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. So, are we done with that topic? Okay, so the next topic, do you want to go first, Sam?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So we've identified water bottle filling stations as part of our addressing single-use plastics, and Aaron and I met on Friday, we met. And so we talked about the community events and festivals to engage, assuming we is there anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about?
Well, Rocco's presentation.
Okay. Right.
Direct response to Rocco's.
Right. Well, and so we're, again, talking about, in my opinion, low-hanging fruit is reducing, if not eliminating, the use of single-use plastics, especially at our outdoor events. And one way to do it, we do have one water bottle filling station downtown, but that's not enough when you look at how many people are here for a Rib Fest or Celebrate Erie or Zabawa and all those other events so there are models of, there's a standalone thing like what we have in Perry Square, and it's freeze-proof, so it's there all year round. They have 3 at the port at Liberty Park, and they are also standalones, but they're not freeze-proof, so they go inside for the winter. There's another model which has something that's portable, and it can have anywhere from 1 to 4 spigots, and then within that model, you can plug into a water supply, even using a hydrant, or you truck the water in. Those are basically the versions of how it's done. and there's a number of companies that produce them. And, I mean, one of the things that we thought about is, gee, you know, we're the can-do city. Wouldn't it be neat if eventually somebody can create one of those water bottle filling stations here with all the maker kind of expertise we have. So some of the things we agreed on, that you would draw up a proposal providing clear reasons why we matters to have water bottle filling stations become the norm in Erie. And then I'll come up with a list of options of the what, which I kind of just quickly went through, and the where I kind of alluded to. You were going to talk to Erie Waterworks to see what they have in mind. I've talked to Liz Allen because she has connections with some of the manufacturing community. She was going to see if there's anything she knows of with interest. And I think you were going to reach out to Curtis Jones because he works for the chamber. And then subsequent to that, I found out that Gannon, this is how I heard it, that Gannon was working on a water bottle filling grant with the Water Authority, and since then, Sam and I haven't been in communication, and it's a part of a grant application you're working on.
I'm leading the grant application.
No, but it's a part of a grant application you're working on. The water bottle filling. Right, so if whatever you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, just that. I mean, I wasn't here last month, but I did send everybody a video explaining our community change Track 1 grant that has 24 community partners. And it's a big project, but part of it is trying to eliminate or reduce the usage of single-use disposable products, plastic products, because they are the number one thing that we've identified within literally our city of Erie litter. So part of that is a sub-award to Erie Waterworks to purchase 3, 1 per year, portable water refill stations to use at events.
So what I read, they're all with tanks, or are they capable of hooking up to city water?
I put in more than he asked for just to make sure, because that's what you always do with grants. So it's not specified as of right now exactly what it is we're purchasing. The biggest model that he shared, the cost was around $75,000. So I put in $80,000 per year for 3 years, and figured that the exact details of what it is we're purchasing could be figured out later. But he had asked for one that was I was a little confused on his wording of things, but two are pulled behind a trailer, but then another one also sounded like it was pulled. I think that they're filled with water, and then you bring them to events. I don't think that they hook up to a water source. Craig Palmer.
Yeah.
Because are you going to be talking to him too, or?
Well, no, because Sam already is. We'll just go with that.
Well, because, I mean, one of the things you and I talked about is at least the in-city events, all of them are in areas where they're, except anything that are in this, like if there was something in Baldwin Park, there'd be a hydrant. But it would seem like if there's city water, do we want to pull behind, or is it? Maybe if you're going to be talking to him, that's something you could check into.
I could, but
I understand, though, you go for what you can get when you go for a grant, but in terms of if we're pursuing anything.
But if you take those out to the Greek Fest, or out to Zabwa, or out to the Russian Fest, then, that's a portable thing, and that's what our proposals, we're going to engage with them first.
But after the tank is empty, versus if you're hooked into a hydrant.
Right. So we'd have to work out those details, but the proposal is going to that list of those community events
Right.
that
It'd be
create a lot of plastic, single-use plastics.
Basically the same ones that use our bandstands.
Yeah,
Our, meaning the cities, yeah.
yeah, and that's what we based our list on.
So, learning that there is something in the works, whether or not we get the funding.
Oh, we
which-
will.
You will. Okay, when will you know? When will you know?
I'm assuming by the end of this year, once it gets submitted.
Okay, so,
I know how you
I just
feel.
think that the best thing to do is positive thinking.
Yes.
Sorry, just to
Okay.
explain.
so,
I'm not trying to be cocky.
So-
I always say when we get the money.
so Aaron and I have not had a chance to communicate since I found this out.
Right.
So you and I need to figure out where we're going from here.
Well, now that we know Sam's involved, we'll just continue the conversation.
Right. Okay. Okay, so.
On that point, I just have one thing. Yesterday, with a coalition of people from different environmental groups, we had an editorial board meeting with the Erie Times, and it was regarding IRG. But towards the end of the meeting, different specific recycling practices came up. And, they wondered if anyone was doing anything about, water bottles at events. And so I simply mentioned, in case any of you get questions, I simply mentioned that it was a topic that the advisory council was looking into. I said both that, and then they asked about vendors. And I said, well, that's a little more difficult, but that's certainly, the reduction of single-use plastics is what they're looking for. And, they wanted some actual things that were happening, but I didn't feel free that I could say anything that this is what's happening right now. But if any of you want to contact them, they're looking to do some pieces on IRG and opposition to IRG in the next couple of weeks. But I know they're stuck on recycling. You could tell from the conversation.
Who are they?
The editorial board. That they can't think about alternatives too much. At least, maybe we'll be surprised when we see what comes out.
Well,
But anyways, if there's anything that you feel that you want to, put in their minds as something positive that's happening in terms of single-use plastics, you can contact Dana Massing or Lisa Thompson. I think she has another name, but you still have Lisa
Sayers?
Thompson.
Is it Sayers?
What?
Lisa Thompson Sayers?
Yeah. So those would be the two that you could contact, was saying, we're looking into this too, and this is where we are.
I just kind of wondered, the city gives out a calendar every year. Maybe a water container.
No, there's too many.
I know we're, in the interest of time, can we put on the agenda for next time? It's an advisory council. There are so many neighborhood groups, including our West Bayfront and Best and maybe the city of Erie and Gannon, and
Grassroots Connection.
that they have events and they buy single-use plastic bottles for their volunteers. And I'm like, get the heck out of here. Can we advise them on, I'm not like that, but can we come up with advice on how to have events with volunteers without single-use plastic? And that, I'll come up with that.
Okay, all right. That's a segue to a reminder. So we meet the fourth Wednesday of the month. So by late the second week, or at the latest, the very earliest of the third week, anybody who has an agenda item to get to me, and then I can get that out to Jackie so she has a chance to put an agenda together and get a packet to us in a timely fashion.
Yeah, that would be very helpful, because I was in my office all day today, and I know some things came in, but I need, at least 3 or 4 days to kind of read through what we're going to have for the meeting. So, but I know how things happen at the last minute, because at the last minute I sent Jackie a note and said, "My gosh, I don't have a final document for the EAC bylaws. Could you send me one? So, I know, but the more we can get a little bit sooner is helpful.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, none opposed? We'll adjourn.
Let me just say one thing. We had the worst